Welcome.
Welcome, and thank you so much for being here this morning. And I'd like to introduce myself first. My name is Jenkins. I am the CEO of iAmbassador, and
well, my name is Melvin. I run Travel Dudes. Yeah, and like this morning, the last day of WTM, we came up like with a Clint Eastwood slogan title.
Oh yeah, I should go back to that actually.
The good, the bad, and the brilliant.
Yeah. So what we'll be doing this morning is that we'll be talking about influencer marketing and the issues plaguing influencer marketing. And we'll hop into some case studies as well of some really good stuff that's happening that influencers are doing around the world. And about 2/3 into our presentation, I would then introduce Janicke Hansen, who will come up onto the stage and present the findings of the think tank report from the Social Travel Summit. This year we explored two topics. One is about authenticity, and the other one is about the impact of tourism in destinations and how travel bloggers can play a role in that. So that will be in the last third of the presentation, or maybe the last quarter, I guess, right? So yeah, let's get started. So a little bit about iAmbassador. So we are basically a marketing agency of travel influencers and travel bloggers around the world. We work with tourism boards and brands, creating, conceptualizing and creating and executing campaigns. And we also do a lot of, in terms of education, so for consultancy, we do a lot of workshops, and we also have our own conference called the Social Travel Summit. The last one was held actually just last September in Belfast. And part of a big component of the Social Travel Summit is the think tank, where we basically bring like 30 people, half bloggers or influencers and half industry. We give them a few issues to talk about, and then they have to come up with recommendations. So, and all these recommendations and discussions are then summed up in this report, which Janicke will present afterwards. These are some of our clients. As I said, we work with clients all over the world, from tourism boards to airlines, hotel chains, etc. These are some of our services. As I said, we work a lot with our clients on campaigns, and we can think of all sorts of different types of campaigns, whether it's social media or blogs only. We do content creation and marketing, and also, as I said, education and consultancy.
Maybe just like to add to that, because I think what is important that we created our own database, where we got like travel bloggers all around the world for the different markets. Because now coming to me, I run Travel Dudes for 12, 13 years already full-time. I just realized 2 days ago it's my 10th WTM being here as Travel Dudes. Yeah, it's 10 years, it's amazing. And well, Travel Dudes, it's an online guidebook, but it's also like a community. Outside of the community, we also do campaigns, also in combination with iAmbassador together. So I've got a team of content producers, and at the moment we produce the content, we are also going out and we share the love and travel, and we inspire people with that.
Yeah.
Maybe you can...
Maybe just to clarify one point as well. With iAmbassador, we work with influencers around the world, so all the content and all the reach that's generated is actually done through the blogs and the channels of the bloggers we work with. And some of them would be like Travel Dudes, so Travel Dudes' own platform and channel as well. So we work a lot together on our campaigns, because Travel Dudes is just pretty awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that's one of those services also like what we do. Like right now, in the last 1 year, we really focus on video, but I will come back to that later, just like to give you an idea of the work, what travel bloggers nowadays are all really doing. And yeah, Travel Dudes, I started it really, I think the first time was like 16, 17 years ago. It was a hobby, it was a travel blog. And now you can see it's not me anymore. I've got like a big team around me, creating all those different campaigns and working also with destinations, promoting it.
Oops, sorry. Right, so we're here to talk about influencer marketing and its impact. You know, I mean, there's so many things going on in influencer marketing all around the world. You know, people are doing their own thing, and you know, the barrier to entry is so low. Anyone can just create their own blog or Instagram account, Facebook, etc., call themselves an influencer. So, you know, and obviously they're all doing their own thing and going down different paths. And there's quite a bit of negativity in the past, especially maybe 1 or 2 years, about influencer marketing and about the impact that influencers are having on tourism and travel. And so even yesterday as well, I think one survey came out that was done about with under 1,000 people, really questioning the influence of influencers. And well, a couple of things about that. The first thing is I would be really interested to find out who these 1,000 people were, like what demographics they were, and also what questions were asked, because it did remind me of this little story, experience I had a few years ago, maybe it was like 6, 7 years ago, when I was talking to my neighbor. And he was asking me, so what are you doing now? It's like, I'm a travel blogger. So, okay, so what do you do? It's like, well, I write on this blog. What's a blog? It's basically a website that talks about my travel experiences. And people can read all about my travel experiences on my blog. Like, oh, okay. So I said, well, haven't you ever read a blog before? So I have no idea what that is, said my neighbor. And I've never been on a blog before. I said, oh, right. So if you're traveling, how do you do your research? So, oh yeah, I just go onto Google and I type, like the a month ago, so my neighbor was telling me the story. A month ago, he went to Barcelona, and he loves markets. And so he was Googling markets in Barcelona, and he was telling me about this website that he arrived at, which he thought was a travel guide. And this guy was explaining all these different markets in Barcelona, and he said it really helped him to find all these really cool markets in Barcelona. And so I said, well, what was the name of this website? He said, well, I don't know, but it was written by this guy, and it was written in a very personal way. And I said, well, that sounds very much like a blog to me. So, when these kinds of surveys come out, I really question, if you're asking people, have I ever been influenced by an influencer, or have I ever read a travel blog, that maybe a lot of people just do not know that they're actually being influenced by an influencer, or that they've actually received their information from a blog.
Well, and I think also the word influencer in the last couple of years, it changed a bit. So a lot of people talk and focus on Instagram nowadays, which, well, it's part of the whole job and it plays its role, but obviously that's not a travel blogger. And yeah, as a travel blogger, there's so much more involved. As a travel blogger, you're really like a publisher. So you've got your blog, you do maybe the videos. Obviously, you do the social media, but not just like on Instagram. You use the channels you're really good in. Well, not Google Plus anymore, but you would use maybe Pinterest. Or, well, there's so many different ways, but yeah.
So what I thought was really interesting was this. When asking the question, have influencer marketing lost its appeal? When I see photos like this, and this one's on Instagram, I mean, I can totally imagine why people would think that it's losing its appeal. Like, what is the point of having a photo like this? I mean,
you don't have light like that?
No.
When you travel?
Do you pack your fairy lights coming to London? You do?
Yeah, otherwise I can't travel, yeah.
And you drape it around yourself and you take a selfie? So, and then, and there are so many issues, and that are plaguing influencer marketing, and we really have to ask ourselves, what are we doing as influencers or bloggers? And sometimes, especially when I'm looking at Instagram, like for instance, everyone is searching for perfection, just the focus on aesthetics. This is a stunning photo that I found. I follow this guy on Instagram, and he's such an amazing photographer. And what really pissed me off about this photo was that it says that it's in London. I'm like, oh my God, this place is so beautiful. I want to go there. Where is it? There's no information about it. I've later found out it's Canary Wharf, so it's close. So, and another thing, what is the real experience? A lot of the content that you're seeing on social media nowadays is staged, like the girl in the plane just now with the fairy lights, or this influencer who is on the Great Wall of China, and apparently she has the whole wall to herself. Does this really reflect the real experience, right? And so in a search for perfection and likes, we have to ask ourselves, have we lost sight of this? Are we informing? Are we inspiring? And are we doing it in an authentic way? And these are issues, these are questions which will be addressed by Janicke when she talks about the discussions at the think tank report. But what we would like to focus on are the really good stuff. the really positive stuff that influencers are doing around the world and trying to be innovative and bring a lot of value to the work that they create. So yeah, the good news is influencers are getting it right as well. It's just not all bad stuff. There's a lot of good stuff. For instance, now this is an Instagram account I love following. His name is Landlopers, Matt Long. He's also part of the iAmbassador team. And why I love his account. His photography is beautiful, but he provides a whole story I just love. It's one of the Instagram accounts where I can actually, my time on page on his Instagram feed is way longer than I don't do this. I actually stop and read the whole story because it's a personal account of a day in York. And he tells this whole personal story. He puts in a tip, says, if you're in Manchester, it's easy to get to York. Now, that's a little bit of information. He talks about the cathedral. He talks about walking up the bell tower and so forth, and the view that you can get. It inspires. I want to go to York right now.
And it gives also a very good intro for engagement, because the people who are interested, obviously they find information, and they can, well, give them also the way just like, oh, is it really like that? And then instead of just a picture which you just like, it gets the people talking with you.
Yeah. And then obviously there are blogs. And I know I'm a blogger, I may be biased, but I think that blogs still provide the most value out of all the platforms out there. Why? Because it's long form content that you can really read about the story. You can get all the information you need. You can put links in there so that people can click through to get more information. They can even book a hotel, book a tour, book a flight, so you can track conversions, et cetera. And you can do that over the longer term as well. I mean, once a blog post is put up there on the internet, on the blog, it makes it searchable and it's there forever. And this, for example, is a blog post from my own blog, velvetescape.com. Please visit. And why I chose this post is because this post is 4 years old, and which basically talks about my trip through the Motor Valley in Emilia-Romagna in Italy, so visiting Ducati and Ferrari and Lamborghini and all that. And I've put in some links in there as well, where people can book their tours of, like, say, the Ferrari factories, et cetera. And this post is 4 years old, and it's still converting. There are people booking steadily these tours and hotels through this blog post. So it shows, it not only informs, it inspires, but people are actually booking tours through this blog post. And I think that is the most powerful value-added thing that you can get from a blog.
Yeah, I think it's important is like when we do campaigns, you use the social media for the direct impact. So you inspire people, but a blog post, it can take also like a couple of months until it gets picked up by Google search. So it improves, and then you, obviously the blogger can also improve still like the blog post afterwards. Yeah. Maybe going back into the destination, changing something. When we see that also like in the analytics, like how the clicks and everything, the longer the blog post is out there, the more traffic it actually gets. We see that many, many times. This one is a campaign. I was actually also part of that one. It was run with Monograms. Monograms is a company being part of Globus in the US. It's a tour operator. But Monograms is a bit different than a typical tour operator, so it's more individual. People can more choose and select and build their own trip instead of having a complete, perfect itinerary. They create it a bit themselves, and they have like specialists in each destination, and they can, well, you can call them anytime, and it's a high-end, it's a good quality service they provide. So the idea was like, obviously, to make it more popular. So we had like bloggers from all over the world. From the North American market, hitting their markets, obviously. And each blogger could choose their own tour and create their own experience. It was not staged. It was not just like an itinerary the blogger created themselves. It was like the official package which every traveler was able to book and experience also themselves. That was like very important that we can see the service Monograms is providing. And then we all started in Rome, and then we went into the different destinations. I went afterwards, after Rome, I went to Barcelona and to Madrid. And everyone was spread it out, and we shared each other's content. And yeah,
I
about
mean,
this campaign. And with
the results were spectacular. I mean, we had 40 blog posts, more than 1,300 social media posts. And what's really interesting was that we've started to track our campaigns using different metrics. So in this case, like the cost per reach and cost per action. And the cost per action is actually, so an action is like, when someone clicks on something or likes or shares or adds a comment or any kind of action, even a click-through, this will all be considered an action. And if you're looking at the cost per action, that's like 49 cents per action. And if you're looking at Facebook advertising, the average price be $1.72 per action. Google AdWords is between $2 and $4, depending on which markets you're in. So in that sense, working with bloggers and influencers, in this case, specifically for this campaign, was a lot cheaper.
Yeah, and if you take the Facebook advertising, I mean, first, if you want to use advertising, first you need content. So if you see this average from Facebook and from Google AdWords, this doesn't include any content creation. So if the blogger is out there, they create the content, they promote it, and they're still like, in the results, they're competitive to the official advertising prices.
Yeah, and so I mean, there are so many other ways, that bloggers are really bringing a lot of value to the table. So this is Janice, for instance. So Janice started her blog, Solo Traveler blog, at about the same time I did, about 10 years ago. And she has gone into, her niche is solo travel right from the start. And she has built, in the past 10 years, she's like really built a very solid community of solo travelers around her. And she's really cornered the niche in so many different ways. First of all, she built a community, the Solo Travel Society on Facebook, which is very active. People are very passionate about solo travel. And then she came out with the Solo Traveler's Handbook. And that, sold really well. And last year, just to reward companies that are committed to solo travel, she came up with the Solo Travel Awards. And that has really strengthened her brand as well and really reinforced the message that she is the expert on solo travel. And these are things that a blogger has done on her own. Now she's got a team, obviously, but an example of how she's really cornering a niche and bringing a lot of value to the tourism industry. When anyone, a brand or whoever wants to work with someone who is a niche expert, solo travel in this case, Janice would probably be one of the first ones that they would approach. Tours.
Yes, that's the blog from Laurel. So Laurel is from Canada. She's a blogger also, like for many, many years. Obviously, she loves to travel. And she thought, okay, why don't I do my own tours? I know the destination, I've experienced this, I know my readers, I give it a try. And she does that how many years now?
Yeah, quite a few years, yeah.
And very, very successful.
Yeah.
So regularly, she creates her own tours. She's not always part of it. At some tours, she's part of it. Other tours are self-guided. And, well, she also got a team now even helping her. So that the travelers, well, obviously she gets the travelers for the tour through her own website. Yeah. And that's also where she gives them the help. So if they're traveling on her tour and they need help, they can get in touch with her and help her.
And I think, coming back to the niche proposition as well, Laurel is very focused on adventure and wildlife. And when you read her blog, Monkeys and Mountains, you'll see that, she hikes a lot. She really goes for the adventure. So all the readers that follow her have the same interest as well in nature, in conservation, in adventure. So, by having her own tours, she's got a ready-made, basically, client base, her readership. And so for her, I thought was a really cool thing, and we've seen more and more bloggers doing this as well in the past maybe 2 years or something.
Yeah, well, some do their own tours, like on their own brand. There are also bloggers who work with big other tour operators, so that they work also with others together. It's not just like their own tours, but they find cooperations with the industry.
Or some go as tour leaders, or even like they provide photography workshops on tours so that people can learn something when they're traveling around. And this campaign ideas as well, like, bloggers are, have a lot of ideas, a lot of great ideas, and this is one idea that we came up with after a few glasses of wine with our friends from Visit Britain. And we were thinking, we came up with this idea of, what would it be like, 24 hours in the UK, what can you experience in the United Kingdom for every hour of the day for 24 hours. So we sent bloggers to capture all these moments across all the different countries in the United Kingdom, and we came up with 32 videos, and we did a Facebook campaign which lasted 24 hours. So every hour a video was released on Facebook and then on YouTube later on as well. So and basically saying from midnight to 1 a.m., this is what you can do in Scotland, in Wales, in England, and so forth. And then between 2 and 3, 3 and 4, and it just went on for 24 hours. So what was really cool about this idea was that we came up with this idea in November last year. We executed the campaign in February this year. And in June, we won a World Travel Award for Europe's leading marketing campaign. So, which was pretty amazing. So that was really cool. And these are ideas that came out of just sitting down with a client and just having a couple of glasses of wine and coming up with some brilliant ideas. So.
And sorry. I love especially this one. This campaign is like from the heart. It means so much. We got like 2 regions together to work together, and both are actually competitors. So you've got the region Costa Brava in Spain, and you got the region Emilia-Romagna in Italy. And if you put pictures next to each other, food-wise, countryside, beach, and you compare them, it could be the same destination. But you have to think as a traveler. And we have to keep our audience in mind. So, and the audience, the travelers, they don't really care if there's a border or something in between. They travel from one to the other place. And I think as an industry, that's also what you have to keep in mind, especially in Europe and with the changes political-wise, what's happening in the last couple of months and years. I think we as travelers all together, also especially also as influencers, it's somehow also like our role to get the people out and to travel. And then we have to see again, okay, we need to try to get that also to the industry so that they, political-wise, obviously that was a big thing to get those together, and also
push
the industry.
them over the barriers to actually collaborate. Yeah.
So it took us some time to get this started, but at the moment it started, the results are amazing, the content is amazing, and everyone was really happy. And and they keep on working together all the time now.
Yeah, what I really like was that this wasn't a concept that was actually pushed by us. To the two destinations, and they saw the value in that, and they collaborated. And when we were doing the campaign, the trickle-down effect was beautiful because we had cooking schools in both regions, in Italy and Spain, actually starting to collaborate together as well, exchanging recipes and stuff. We had wineries who were from both regions who started working together to do their marketing campaigns together. So there were really cool knock-on effects from this campaign. And and this year we did the next collaboration, and we added more destinations to this collaboration, so it's growing and growing. And these are all cross-border collaborations within Europe. So I think it's a really cool concept that'll hopefully grow into the future as well. This is also really cool. So Cash Bhattacharya, budget traveler, a good friend of ours, and actually saw this on his Facebook page a few weeks ago, and I thought, wow, this is so cool. So basically what he did was he went to this region in Germany, Schleswig-Holstein, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And he just traveled around the region as a traveler, and just gathering input, just like experiencing it as a traveler. And then he went and he created this seminar for the DMO of Schleswig-Holstein to give them feedback of everything that he experienced, the quality of the products, so like the hotels, the tours, the restaurants, etc. And so from a traveler's perspective, which would help them to improve their products. And I thought that was a really cool idea of utilizing a blogger who also understands, the industry, but also travels like a traveler and can put those two worlds together and provide some really good feedback to the destination.
I think that's all the time, like when we are traveling and meeting a hotelier, we always, without knowing, actually, we also educate them a bit, because I mean, we're living in the social media world. We do that every day, and we're always like looking for collaboration. So when we are sitting there, having lunch, having dinner with our hosts, we share our experience with them. And we try also, to evolve and get also them to realize the value social media is having and the impact they can have. So it's always an exchange all the time.
For sure. And this is also a really cool example of how bloggers, in this case, they're actually helping a whole country. So we have Daniel and Audrey from Uncornered Market, and they have this partnership with Kyrgyzstan. And Kyrgyzstan, tourism-wise, is I guess, pretty undeveloped yet, but it's a very, very promising destination. And a lot of bloggers have been very interested in going there. But a lot of development has to be done, a lot of positioning of each destination within the country. And Dan and Audrey are avid hikers, and they've even charted out hiking routes throughout the country. They're talking to the local DMOs to talk about positioning and branding and how the local DMOs can all collaborate and work together and come up with different products and routes and tours. And they're doing it, they've been doing it for the past year now. It is absolutely fascinating what's going on there. And it's just, I just think it's brilliant what they're doing. So, I mean, they're travel bloggers, but they're providing such an important role and so much value, actually, to a destination to help it grow and just get the word out, and also and basically growing the product. This is one example of how we are trying to create value as well for the industry. So at the Social Travel Summit in Belfast last September, we, together with Visit Britain and Amadeus and Travel Audience, came up with this project to actually track the consumer journey through travel blogs, and for 1 year. And we wanted to do this for a longer period of time to show the value that blogs bring over a longer period, because most of our campaigns are just tracked over like a maximum of 3 months. And we wanted to do that over a longer period. And so we had 32 bloggers who voluntarily signed up for this data project. And so, whenever readers arrive at their blogs, it basically tracks what the reader does on the blogs, where it clicks, where does the reader spend a little bit more time here or there, or less time here or there. And so in exchange for them signing up for this project, the bloggers will also get all the data and the insights, and to help them improve their blog, their content. And for the tourism, for the DMO, Visit Britain in this case, it's just valuable information about what really interests people and what makes them want to come to the United Kingdom. And this is a really cool case study as well of Shivya, who's an Indian blogger. Her name is Shivya Nath. And she has been to this little village in the Himalayas for many, many times, and she absolutely loves it there. And what she's done is that she's basically mobilized this little village called Sarmoli to share on Instagram just basically about their life, what's their daily life like. And obviously it includes a lot of fantastic scenery of the mountains and of the meadows and of the forests and all that, but also just people doing their daily jobs, their daily routine. And it's basically growing people's interest in wanting to visit this region in the Himalayas. And she's been to this village quite a few times now. She's given them workshops on how to take photos, how to work on Instagram. And at first there was just maybe 2 smartphones in the whole village. She actually went back to her own Facebook page, and she started this crowdfunding or crowdsourcing project to ask people, if you have any spare smartphones, could you please donate them to me, and I will give them to the villagers. So now there are many smartphones in this little village, and people are just taking photos and sharing their daily life on Instagram. I think it's such a cool community project, or a blogger basically just giving back and helping to develop this little village in the Himalayas as well.
And like 1.5 years ago, Amadeus got in contact with us. Well, if you don't know Amadeus, Amadeus is handling 50% of travel worldwide. So if you, at the moment, like you go to Expedia, if you go to Skyscanner, if you go to Kayak, you book a flight, it's all handled by Amadeus. Amadeus also works with a lot of the travel agents. Well, a lot of people don't know they have a very small department where it's more like a startup. So they get new products launched and they see do they work or don't they work. So what they did is they took a look at on YouTube, on video, and well, in travel, and if you're looking at a video, you like maybe something, you are showing a restaurant, and maybe the viewer would like to find out a bit more, but you can't really find anything out in the video at that moment. If you want, you stop the video, you look elsewhere, you Google for it, and you're lost. Or you watch the video till the end, but do you really go back to all those little spots? And that's what they realized, and they created a complete new video player, and it's interactive, so it has like geotext at the bottom, and the video blogger, he creates all this editing in himself. So if at the moment, for example, you're in the restaurant, you can explore the video, it stops and you get this template, a layover. It got the map in it, you have like the option to include links, you've got the rating, the links is up to you what you use. If it's like an affiliate link you put in and where you link to, and there's a template for flights, for accommodations, for tours, and for going out. So there's a lot of stuff behind that.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool video platform because, you know, as you're watching the video, like say a blogger has created this video, a vlogger, and so you see scenes of this vlogger like, you know, eating at this restaurant. You can actually click on the video and it gives you all the information about this restaurant. Or if this blogger is staying in this hotel, you know, you can click on this and you can actually even book that hotel right away as well. So, you know, it's a very interactive video, and what it's shown that, I think from your stats, that the time on video is amazing, and people are really interacting with the video. Because it provides so much more information, it's not just showing scenes, or, you know, it's not only telling a story, but you can actually interact with the video as well. Yeah. And this is a project that basically Amadeus approached us with, and we've helped them to develop this product just by providing feedback, you know, back and forth, you know, what can be improved, you know, what can be added to it, and you know, what can be taken out, and this is a project we've been doing for the past year. Yeah.
And yeah, so, well, and with Amadeus, obviously, their clients are airlines and big hotel chains. And I was wondering, so if we work with them, and if you want to produce videos, obviously the video blogger, they can put it up onto their own website. But at the moment, well, Amadeus, their aim is to get the interactive video player into the entertainment system of the flights. If it's on your own device, or maybe in the monitor in front of the seat, or into the hotel rooms, into the TVs, where the viewer then can engage and also like book and drive conversions. And I was thinking, like, at that moment, we always try to push our own limits, and we are critical with the jobs we do. And I thought, where can we improve that? It's not good enough. If we work with an airline, Lufthansa, and you're in the entertainment system, you can't film yourself what a video blogger is actually doing. And I was thinking, okay, the video bloggers, how did they improve the quality up till now? So what they did is, okay, they buy a new drone, they buy a new lens, a new camera, and the quality is obviously really good nowadays, even with the smartphones. But what they never did is, though they're having a good reach, they never improved on their own format. And I thought, okay, but like for video, you have to be very creative. And I will show you tiny bits of a few videos, and if I would like that you focus on the presenters. So there's like different scenes. For example, we have one of my presenters, Dave, he was yodeling in an igloo, but we were filming from the outside, and you think, who's yodeling? And then the camera goes into the igloo, and that's the introduction into the video. And Dave's like, hey, welcome, we are here, and we're exploring the destination. Or if it's even about the food, and you can, with the camera, you can go around, you can take a close-up, you go out again. If it's activities, if it's like kayaking, obviously you can film yourself kayaking, but if you have a kayak behind, and you can like take over, you can different angles, this really improved the quality a lot. Well, actually, it's nothing new. That's what traditional media is doing for many, many years. Yeah. I don't know why the video bloggers haven't done it yet.
Well, so, some of them are.
Yeah, of course. Well, definitely improved also in the last year. Yeah. Well, and obviously, why can't you even do a lip synchronization? I at first haven't thought about that until the destination, the client asked, can you do that? So, okay, let's see.
So you basically filmed it in English, you were speaking in English and all that, and then they wanted it in
German.
German, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could have gotten the Bruce Willis in German, the voice, and well, we didn't do that. So yeah, there again, it was the aim, just like improve the quality all the time and get creative, brainstorming. Yeah, I'll just show you a couple of seconds of that. Okay, no sound.
Oh. Ah. Ah.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's fine, I think.
Okay, yeah, we just continue then. So the thing is, you see many, many different ways where the presenter is just like presenting, and that's also like at that moment the presenter is there, they can focus on the message. At the moment you film yourself and you get into video blogging, a lot of times, well, you're not a professional presenter, and you start filming and it takes, well, you talk, but in this kind of way, the presenter only focuses on this message, and the videographer is only focusing on the storyline. And yeah, that's their job. It's not doing everything all together. And well, the results it also shows, like while doing the production, we also promote it online. So you put it online on the social media. We try to get the inspiring content on Facebook with little teaser tags. And if the people are more interested, there's a link to the website where they can then see the long article and the long video. And yeah.
All right. Yeah, so the question is, now you've seen a lot of these case studies here, and you know, the question is, you know, how do you harness and leverage, you know, this value? Well, I think the first thing is, you know, when you have to be selective, and you know, and it's so important, like when you're starting a relationship with an influencer and you're starting to work with them, you know, to be very selective, you know, do your research, find out a lot about the influencer that you like to work with. On the other hand, as an influencer, if, you know, when you're looking at clients to work with, do your research, you know, is this client a really good fit with what I'm doing and what I believe, what my values are? And when there's a good match, that's, you know, then, and you can only achieve that by just chatting to each other face to face, like a place like a trade fair like WTM is a perfect place for it, to actually get some face time and just get to know each other. And then, you know, and then take it from there and discuss your mutual goals and your objectives, and, you know, maybe create a project that's small just to test it and see how this influencer works, or how the client works and all that. And if it really works, then, you know, provide feedback continuously from both sides, and take it from there. Keep in mind, it's so important, numbers, you know, in all our campaigns that we do, numbers are always important, and our clients are always hammering on numbers. We need to see all these numbers, and I understand that. But what I also feel that is just as important is passion and fulfillment, especially, you know, for the influencer or the bloggers, you know, when they're creating their content, you know, are they in a campaign that they really want to be in? Is this something that really touches their passion points, you know, that they really want to create content about? And does this basically make you a happy person? I know it sounds corny, but I think it's so important as well that this is addressed, the passion points. And because when you've addressed that, the content that is created is just fantastic. You know, it comes from the heart. It's authentic. You know, the influencer will want to give as much information as they can, and they would want, because they're enthusiastic about the destination or the product, and they would just be a natural ambassador for it because they're just so excited about it. And, you know, and that leads into really good quality content as well, and that will convert because the passion and the enthusiasm will just shine right through the content. And obviously professionalism, you know, on both sides, just being professional with one another and, you know, building a long-term relationship. For me, that's the most important thing, building a long-term relationship and not just seeing, you know, any project that you're doing with an influencer as a one-off. I think it's just so important. You can create so much more value, and you can leverage that value by building a longer-term relationship based on mutual respect and mutual benefits. And seeing the influencer, you know, more than just being a content provider, but also a partner, you know, with whom you can brainstorm and come up with new concepts and ideas. And that's when you see the value really pouring in. So Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think it's a lot of times it's always about the communication. If there's questions, always get in contact with the blogger. Obviously, when you want to work with a blogger, read the blog yourself.
Yeah.
Look at the photos. Do you like it yourself? Is it good? Would that represent what you're looking for? Then take the next step. If you have questions, shout them out, ask them, ask also other people. I think a lot of times it's about communication as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, thank you. This is just one part of, I'd like to introduce Janicke Hansen, who will come up and talk about the think tank report.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm going to present the STS Think Tank report. But STS is a social travel summit, and it's an annual gathering for travel professionals and travel bloggers. And this September, it was in Belfast, and it was around 150 delegates. So during the social travel summit, people are also discussing there are high-level discussions of topics that are interesting for the travel industry, but also for the travel professionals and the content creators and the future of online marketing. So we have a think tank, and this year there were 20 people gathered in 2 different groups. So we had 2 different topics and discussing, getting into deep, like what is important with these kind of issues to improve what we are doing in content creation, in travel industry, and in tourism. So also the relationship between travel influencers and the travel global industry is very important in these kind of think tank sessions. So all the discussions ends with a report. So this year we had 2 different topics. The first topic is how to create authenticity. And the second was the impact of tourism destinations and the role of travel bloggers, and mostly connected to overtourism. So the first question is, what is authenticity? In the search for likes and clicks and comments and all the high numbers, travel bloggers also need to kind of adapt some of the things that is happening in the influencer, especially the Instagrammer. But you have a line between what is authentic and what is staged. So if you see these photos, it's actually the same photo, but somebody has put themselves into a situation where they actually have not been. So is it really authentic if you stage photos, if you do Photoshop and manipulate where you've been or where you've not been? So one of the most important things was to define what is authenticity. There was a lot of different levels into how to be authentic. One of them was to have like an experience. If someone else is having an experience that you're selling, then what you're doing is authentic. But it also came down to how much you edited your photos, how much you staged, were you using a camera team, were you using a lot of editing afterwards that would make the images and the stories not authentic. So one of the key thing was like to be authentic, because that is what we are selling as travel bloggers, is the long format content, is a lot of platforms, and it's to be authentic. So we really need to look at how we can be authentic for the audience and for the clients that we're working with. So this is one of the definitions that came out of the discussions. It's also like doing it for the likes. As I said, with staged content and really bad Photoshop. As you can see, this girl is obviously not where she is supposed to be. She is hovering over a bridge in Paris, talking about how fantastic Paris was at that time. She got a lot of feedback for the really bad Photoshop photos, and it really hurts both the destination, the clients that she's working with, and the influencer themselves. So this is where travel bloggers want to distance themselves from this kind of content to be more authentic. Instagram is quite big, and Instagram is images. mostly. But you saw with Matt Long, he also provides a whole story to it. But Instagram, if you see it as something that you use on the go, and it becomes the headline, it doesn't become the full story. So travel bloggers are using Instagram as a teaser to teach the audience about small pieces about the destination, but to get the full story, they need to go into the blog and to read everything. So that's also important for travel bloggers and the industry to think about, that Instagram is the headline, it's the front cover, it's not the entire story. We also have the discussion about travel bloggers versus travel or influencers, Instagram influencers, how to use the destination purely as a backdrop for your own fashion shots, or do you really provide information about the destination? Which is also something about being authentic, being true, giving information and inspiration on the right level. So the difference between Instagram influencer and a travel blogger would be that a travel blogger would give the destination the leading part and then themselves as a second role. As some Instagram influencers are there, they are the only part in this, and the destination are only a backdrop, which is also of less value for the destinations that they're working with. We also have responsibility when we're creating content. Also in the search for likes and clicks and comments, we put up sometimes photos that may be seen as irresponsible. And we as travel bloggers need to recognize that we are influencers. And if you are standing like that on Trolltunga, which is in Norway, that would be super irresponsible. And a lot of the tourism organizations are also encouraging travel bloggers not to post pictures that people may copy and be one of the statistics for death by selfie. There are 45 to 50 every year that is killed by doing stupid things for the likes. Then we had the second topic, which was tourism growth versus over-tourism. And the topic was also like, how can the travel bloggers and the travel blogging industry work together with tourism organizations to prevent or to help over-tourism become manageable. And Susanne Holler from Tourism Grass, she had one of the statements was that they are preparing for merging districts for dispersal in the future, and they are using bloggers as a part of that strategy. So they're using actively bloggers to go seek other districts and other parts and at other times than the full, the high season is there, so that you can spread the tourism over a longer period or to get them into markets that are not that well known, or parts of the area that are not that well known. And it's also important that when destinations are working with influencers, is that journalists are also looking at what influencers are doing, and they are picking up the destinations, they are picking up the trends, they are picking up things that we do as bloggers, and they adapt it, and they create top lists of where to go and what to do. And so we also need to be aware of our role in creating one destination popular in a very short time. So also, if you want to introduce new destinations or new markets or new periods, say that October and November is a very low season, then you can highlight some of the activities that you can do then with bloggers. Journalists will pick it up, and it will become more popular at the end. So it's also about connecting the local people that live there with the travel bloggers, also to connect, to create content and to help also develop tourism, smaller businesses. So over-tourism or emerging tourism is not just a negative thing. If you play it the right way, working with travel bloggers, together with the locals and together with the tourism industry, there are lots of opportunities to help overcome the problems that over-tourism may represent in certain areas. This is just like really some really short highlights from the report. If you want the full report, you can download it. And it's thesocialtravelsummit.com/thinktank. So please download it. There are also the 4 others are at the same address. So from the 4 other social travel summit that has been taking place the last 5 years. So all the reports are there, and there are really, really some good topics. And yeah, you can learn a lot. And please feel free to ask any questions.
Thank you, Janicke. You want to stay on the stage with questions? So if there are any questions, we have about 10 minutes for any questions. Sorry, yeah, right up here in the front. Just a second, yeah. I shall sit.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. This is probably a question for you. So you said with regards to video, so with creating interest and stuff, maybe just post a snippet of the video online and then a link further along. Say with platforms like Facebook, obviously they've got the ability to post like 10, 15-minute videos at once, so people don't have to come off page to visit somewhere else. Do you think by posting a snippet, you could be posing a detriment to yourself by sort of preventing people, because people might not want to click through, so on and so forth. So what do you think is the best approach? Because obviously you want people to click through, you want the traffic to the blogs and all that stuff, but how do you, like, people are lazy, they don't want to click onto another page, so how would you go about that?
Well, I think it's like, well, I don't really want everyone to click on that. I mean, in the end, is what you're looking for is quality audience. Facebook, unfortunately, sadly, tricked the whole community, everyone in the past with the video views. So they just gave complete wrong metrics, which was obviously very, very hard. And well, I mean, that was bad. I mean, just thinking about that, how they tricked everyone. So Facebook is good to inspire people to get a huge reach. But obviously only because I post something about the destination. Not everyone is going to travel there. Most people travel once or twice a year. So from the moment you inspire someone to the decision that they really go into that destination can take years. So maybe you reach, with this Facebook video, maybe you reach 10,000 people. Obviously the view times drops heavily on Facebook. That's still fine. That's why we use teasers. It's like 20, 30 seconds long. And the aim is, if the people really want to go further from the 10,000, and maybe you get like 100 clicks onto the article and onto the long guide video, which is then embedded onto the website, and there's an article in it, that's like quality people. Yeah. It's not maybe as massive, the numbers we can always present in the case studies, but those 100 people maybe going onto the article have a far bigger value than the 10,000 on Facebook.
Because they're more likely to go and convert further on down the line. Yeah.
Because they are most probably going to be the ones who book the next flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. He had a question. You had a question as well.
Yeah. This is probably a question for you. There's an ongoing debate on which is the best way of measuring the success of an influencer campaign, and it seems like every brand has a different way of measuring return on investment. How do you measure the success of a campaign? How do you measure return on investment? And will we see in the future maybe like a unified tool of measuring this?
Yeah. So there's been a whole evolution as well on return on investment metrics. And when we first started out 8 years ago, our main metrics were basically impressions, so opportunities to see and engagement. And reach, obviously, and so these were the 3 metrics that we continuously use, and whenever we could, because a lot of bloggers, subscribe to affiliate programs, so whenever any bookings were generated through the blogs, we would ask the bloggers, if this has come out from one of the from content from one of the campaigns, please let us know if any bookings have been made, so we can actually go back to the client and say, okay, we've had some conversions here. We've also used tracking links for which our clients provide, so that the clients can also see what traffic is going from the blogs to their websites. In the past 2 years, we're still using these 3 metrics, but we're also using, as I mentioned as well, cost per action, cost per reach, because a lot of my clients are asking, okay, I'm spending this much money, what is it getting me? And so these metrics are really helpful as well to show them that you can use it to compare with other advertising platforms. So like if you're doing this campaign with us, this would be the cost per action or cost per reach, and they can easily compare it with if they did this campaign on, say, on Facebook, or if they use Google AdWords, etc. They can make the comparison very quickly as well. The holy grail, obviously, would be, and this is why the STS data project is very important for us, is that we would be able to track conversions over a longer period of time. And I think that would be a very important metric going forward, because there are more and more ways to track conversions through blog posts especially, and so that would be one. Yesterday I was talking to a client of mine, and another new interesting metric came up as well, the trust metric. And so I think we'll be seeing that as well, so like ROI in terms of trust. So I guess the metric, I'm not quite sure, I would love to find out more about it, because if you use trust as a metric, okay, like how do you measure trust? Now I'm sure there are ways to measure it, and I'd love to find out more about it. But I think that would be a really, really cool metric as well. So the return on your investment would not necessarily be bookings or eyeballs or whatever, but the level of trust gained. And I think that could be really powerful, because when you have that trust, obviously that automatically leads into conversions, but over a longer period of time. So I think that would be really interesting to follow.
But I think also like what the recent change was, like when we started, we had those opportunities to see, which is massive numbers, but there's not really much value directly behind that, because you don't know how many people really saw that. And with the iAmbassador campaigns, the bloggers, they connect to the database, and we have API access to the reach. So we are really trying very hard that the industry gets away from the opportunities to see. Yep. They play their role, but only a tiny role. The most important is obviously how many people have you reached. Yep. Obviously, that's also where we rely on the platforms like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, that we get this API access, which we have then.
And obviously blogs as well with Google Analytics.
Yeah.
So all the bloggers have their Google Analytics connected in our database, so we can actually show the clients as well, how many page views, how many unique visitors, time on page, and these are important metrics as well to show your clients.
But I also think that it depends also, when you measure the success of a collaboration, it depends on what the goal with the collaboration was.
Yeah.
So if the goal is to put a new destination out there and present new opportunities for travelers, then that's one metric, but you can't really measure that in direct bookings, because you don't book a holiday at the same way as you buy a new sweater.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say, like, it's a huge decision. So you need to be there. So if you measure success for, like, this is a rebranding campaign or something, so you can't really measure it only by direct conversions, but you have to, like, in knowledge.
Yeah. And that's a really good point as well. I mean, we always have to keep in mind that, travel is not like, buying a piece of clothing, like, say, you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, you see this ad, oh, this is great dress or whatever, and you just buy it straight away, and travel's not like that. You hardly, well, maybe seldom have travel as an impulse purchase. Like, oh, that's a beautiful destination. Let's go to Bora Bora tomorrow. Click, book. That would be awesome if that happened, but it doesn't, right? And that's why I think, tracking over, especially if, if conversions is one of the objectives of your work that you're doing with your client, that it's really important to track that over a longer period of time. And we're talking maybe, 1, even 2 years. Preferably, I mean, the more, the better, yeah.
And I think also that success is not just the reach. What the bloggers are doing, it's content production.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I think, where the industry needs to get, also need to improve, to make use of that content. The content which is shared online, but also like, I see that as a change, there's like more and more interest in the industry while the bloggers are doing their work, that they produce extra content for the client, like photographies or videos for their own use.
All right.
So that's also part, obviously, of the success.
I think we have time for one more question. If anyone has a question?
This one down there.
Oh.
Back there.
Where?
Yeah, she got.
Okay, here. Hi.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask you that you were promoting the blogs a lot, but you know that majority of the time we use influencers who are not a blogger. So how do we go about that? That's the first question. My second question, currently the young generation are more into traveling. Okay, so they're gonna be more into blogs or the normal influencer that they promote basically unique posts or any post. Right. So it's your...
So the first question is basically, how to work with a blogger, or? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, like some of the influencers, like famous influencer, might not have a blog.
Oh, right, okay.
They might not be a blogger, yeah?
Yeah.
And the younger generation, would they be more into blogs, or they will be more into influencer that post like random images, for example, or different posts?
Yeah, okay. So, and that's true, and that's why I keep pushing through the message that I personally feel that blogs deliver a lot of value because of all the obvious advantages it has. That you can add all these links, long form content, and content that stays there forever, that's searchable on Google and wherever else. And social media is, I guess, a lot of so the youngsters, as you were referring to, are on social media. They're all on Instagram and Facebook. Maybe not so much Facebook anymore, but on Instagram. And there's no way. And obviously the attention span is a lot shorter. And so you're just swiping through. So I think when you're thinking about working with influencers, you have to think as well about what is your target audience and where are they. And then find the influencers to work with who will be able to reach the demographic that you're trying to reach, be it through blogs or social media. And I think that's the way to approach it. So figure out who you want to reach and where can I find these people, and then get the influencers who will be able to get you these people.
I very, very strongly recommend all the people who are getting into this industry. I mean, you want to make a living out of it. You run it as a profession, so you need a business plan. If you're focusing just like on one channel, this can go good for some while, but what happens if there's a change, like the Facebook algorithm?
Yeah.
What happened to Google+? There are bloggers out there, they had like 100,000 of followers on Google+, suddenly they shut it down, there's this change, the organic drops, and your business is ruined. It's just gone. At the moment you have your blog, it's more in your hands. And if you want to make a living out of it, that's, I think, very secure to have. I mean, you need to be of control of it. So obviously, you need to be good also on those platforms and make use of that. But I wouldn't put my retirement plan on Facebook.
Yeah.
But you also have Instagram influencers might be very influential, but not necessarily in travel. So they might have hundreds and thousands of followers, and they have lots of comments, and they have lots of likes and clicks and engagement with their posts. But if the destination is just a backdrop, then the influence is more in the bathing suit or in other products, but not the destination. So you wouldn't choose to go there on a vacation based on that image, but you might choose to buy that bathing suit.
Yeah.
So it's also like in which part they are influencers, but where is their influence? Is it within fashion and lifestyle, or is it within travel? And with a travel blogger, you get You get both. So you get the inspirational images, and then you get the full story, which is a richer way of giving information and inspiration.
Okay, we're out of time. So, but thank you very much for staying around and for attending our presentation. Thank you.